friends laughed on their way back from the farm. They had no idea a strange talking antelope waited on their compound. What it revealed that day shook the entire village to its bones. The Ghost Behind the Talking Antelope, a story by Tales. Once upon a time, long ago, in the heart of my village, there lived a young girl named Samira. Samira was 21 years old, but her life felt like a cage. She wanted to fly free like a bird, but something held her back. At a young age, when Samira's mother journeyed to the land of the spirits, her father took in another wife. Her name was Mama Femi. To the world, Mama Femi was the cheerful and hardworking fishmonger who sells fresh fish in the morning, dried fish in the afternoon, and smoked fish by evening. Her laughter filled the market, her greetings sweet as palm wine, and everyone said, "Ah, what a kind woman." But the elders say, the fire that warms the stranger can burn the child at home. And inside her house, Mama Femi was nothing but fire. She made Mira carry the weight of the entire house on her young back. Before the first cock crowed, she swept the yard. At dawn, she was at the stream, balancing water on her head. By noon, her hands ached from scrubbing cloths and dishes. By evening, her sweat dripped as she pounded yam for others to eat. Yet, Mama Femi's thank knew no thank you. Instead, she pushed unripe fruits into Mira's hands while her daughters, Bola and Nkechi, licked their fingers in hot stew and meat. The elders say when love is shared in pieces, some hearts will starve. Mama Femi scolded Mira for mistakes she never made and shouted even louder when there was nothing to shout about. Baba Sunday, Mira's father, never saw the fire burning his child. Each morning, he left very early for the farm. Each night, he returned too tired and hungry to see the truth. By then, Mira had already covered her scars with silence. She smiled for him, swallowed her tears, and kept believing that one day, like dry Hamatan grass meeting the rain, her stepmother's heart would soften. One blissful Saturday morning, Baba Sunday called his family for a meeting. "I will be traveling for Adekunle's funeral today. I will be back before the next market day." Mira was sad. She knew the days ahead would be difficult, but she had no option than to pretend to be fine. Baba Sunday left, and the next morning, Mama Femi was in church praising God and dancing to the fullest. Everyone she greeted with her infectious smile saw her as a devoted Christian. They had no idea she never obeyed the highest commandment. Mama Femi never loved her neighbor as herself. All too soon, the moon was full and bright, and it was Sunday evening. Mira was lying on her cold mat, but she overheard Mama Femi talk to someone. Tomorrow is the day, she said. Do to her whatever you wish. And remember, do not mention my name. Mira was curious. She looked outside the window and saw Mama Kemi and a masked man standing face to face in the dark. She wondered who the victim was this time around. She had no idea it was her. Fast forward the following morning, Mira's stepmom instructed her to get her akara from Mamalade's shop. Follow the three-part road that leads to Mamalade's shop. That route is shorter. I need you to get back before the next 12 minutes. Mira, as naive as she was, obeyed her stepmother's instructions, but she met the most unfortunate incident that could ever happen to any woman. She was attacked by a masked man right at the intersection of the route where three paths met. The masked man forcefully dragged her into the bush, took away her most treasured assets, and ran off. Mira wept bitterly, the only treasure she guarded with her life. The pride of her womanhood had been stolen in the most heartless way by a masked stranger. How would she explain this to her father, who took so much pride in her? Who would believe her when she says it was taken without her consent? She had no choice than to wipe her tears and continue her journey, since she was given only 12 minutes to return home with the akara. Weeks passed and Mira began to feel strange. She had told no one about what happened to her in the bush. She then decided to confide in her best friend, Sissy. After Mira explained herself to Sissy, she exclaimed suddenly, "Ah, Samira, what are you saying? Are you pregnant? Why didn't you report the masked man to your father?" Samira trembled. What is Sissy saying? Pregnant? For who? How? She was confused and she cried bitterly. If truly she was pregnant, who would believe her if she says a masked man took her innocence? Who will listen to her when she confesses that she saw her stepmother talk to a masked man the night before? Who was she to cry for justice? For she was nothing but a slave girl in her own father's house. Ewo! How would she shout out the truth when the hands that pushed her into shame belonged to her very own stepmother, the one everybody trusted as a devoted Christian? 2 more weeks passed, and the signs were clear. She became very pale. She vomited and she felt nauseous. Her now fulfilled stepmom was proud enough to call her names at the market square, amongst her peers, and even in church. She was treated like an outcast, a prostitute, and a destitute among her own people, and yet she dared not utter the truth. Her father was so devastated and disappointed. Her stepmother now openly beat her every morning during her usual pregnancy morning sickness. That notwithstanding, she had to do all the chores and cook on an empty stomach, and all she had to eat were leftovers. There were times she felt like ending it all, times she felt she didn't belong to this unfair world. But strangely, she felt the child in her womb whisper to her soul. 7 months passed, and it was time for Mbara Festival, a grand festival celebrated only every 25 years in coronation of our next king. But Samira was heavily pregnant that fateful morning before the coronation. Her stepmom screamed, "You better stay back and don't attempt to step foot at the festival ground, you child of evil luck. If I catch you half mile away from the festival ground, you will beg for mercy the following day." Her words were hurtful and threatening, hence, Mira decided not to go. She watched as all the beautiful maidens, dressed in their usual beautiful Ankara cloth, just so that they are noticed by the crowned prince. Some made mockery of her whilst they journeyed to the festival. Others felt pity. Amongst the girls who felt pity was Sissy, her best friend. Sissy was also an orphan, but fortunate enough to have a stepmom with a heart of gold. She was the only kind maiden to confront her and say, "Samira, I have a plan, and you are going to the festival by hook or crook. Wear this and disguise as a clown. No one will recognize you, not even your cruel stepmother." Then Mira answered whilst trembling, "Are you sure this dress will hide me from my stepmother's sharp eyes and from the waging tongues of the villagers?" Fear sat in her chest like a stone, but Sissy, her sister in spirit, did not waver. Her smile was steady and her heart was full of fire. "Yes," she answered, "I have the perfect disguise for you, with love and from my grandfather's old chest. Take his masquerade robe, one that is heavy with dust and of forgotten festivals." Suddenly, Mire's face beamed with a smile. She slipped into the robe, and to Sissy's surprise, it clung to her as if it had been waiting for that very day. Samira was filled with gratitude for Sissy. Because of her courage, she will also see the crown prince, the one every maiden spoke of in hushed tones, tall, handsome, and wise. Out of the fullness of her heart, Samira blessed Sissy. She told her with every fiber of faith that the prince would surely choose her, for she had shown her kindness, even when the world turned against her and her unborn child. Sissy only smiled, her eyes glowing with secrets, and whispered, "If I become the next queen, I will take you away from the prison you call a home." They laughed it all off and set off, their feet pressing against the dusty earth, carrying both fear and hope. Long before they reached the festival ground, the air was alive with the rhythm of drums, with songs that floated like smoke, and with laughter that cracked open the sky. Sissy and Mira broke into a run. They were eager not to miss the moment when Sissy would stand before the prince. And truly, Sissy was everything a queen should be. Beautiful as the morning sun, hard-working as the farmer's hands, wise like the elders, and above all, kind-hearted. She was without doubt the perfect match for the crown prince, unlike the other maidens. But something strange happened upon their arrival at the Deba ground, something that shook the entire community, an abomination and a curse clothed in mystery. The earth seemed to tremble as faith tore its veil, just as the prince was about to choose a bride from the gathered maidens. His eyes widened like a man struck by thunder. "That's her!" he yelled, his voice echoing through the hills. "The pregnant masquerade, the one chosen by the gods. In her womb lies our future ruler. Bring her forth, adorn her with gold and coral beads. Let her be my wife." The crowd gasped and staggered backwards as though the ground burned beneath their feet. Murmurs rose like restless spirits. How can a woman, heavy with a child, be the bride of our future king? They whispered. And who is the face behind that sacred mask? Even the talking drums fell silent, for the land had never witnessed such a tale before. Then Mira screamed, "No, no, it can't be me. I do not deserve the royal crown, your highness." Her cry tore through the air like thunderclap over a restless sea. The crowd froze, and even the wind held its breath. And there she stood in the middle of the Deba ground, her raffia robes trembling, her painted marks glistening with tears unseen. The other maidens knelt in disbelief, their beads clinging softly like whispers of broken dreams. Then the prince, tall and radiant, in his blue and golden attire, stepped forward, his eyes fierce, yet gentle. "The spirits have spoken," he declared. "You, the masked one, are the chosen queen." But Samira fell to her knees, clutching her belly as if to cage the truth within. "No, your highness," she cried, her voice cracking like a calabash under the sun. "I am unholy. I am a woman, touched by a masked man, a stranger of the night, whose face I shall never know. How can a womb shadowed by mystery sit upon the throne of light?" A murmur swept through the people like a harmattan wind brushing through dry leaves. The elders exchanged fearful glances, their carries trembling in their hands. Some said the gods had gone mad. Others whispered of ancient curses being reborn. The prince knelt before her, his royal beads clinging like rain on bronze. He touched her trembling hands and said softly, "The river does not reject the water because it's muddy. Even the gods know that destiny hides behind strange marks." Tears rolled beneath her wooden marks. The drums began to beat again, slow, mournful, like a heart learning to breathe. And as the people watched in awe, the pregnant masquerade rose, her shadow stretching long across the sacred ground, a symbol of shame turned into prophecy. A woman caught between sin and salvation. And from that day, the storytellers would say, no secret stays buried when the gods choose to reveal it through a woman's womb. And that was how Samira was taken into the palace and adorned with the finest robes and ornaments. But don't be excited yet, because still tragedy awaits. When Samira's family and the crowd came to realization that the pregnant masquerade was none other than Samira, they were shocked to the skull. Her face, once hidden in shame, now glowed like morning dew on cola leaf. The royal maidens, adorned her in coral beads and flowing silk, dyed in crimson and gold, colors of royalty and rebirth. Every ornament placed upon her body whispered forgiveness. Every thread sang of redemption. But then a gasp went through the crowd like harmattan dust. Whispers rose, one after another, until the courtyard trembled with disbelief. "It cannot be," someone stammered. "By the gods, that's Samira." Samira, the girl they had spat upon, the one they called a shower, the village's scar of shame, the one whose mother died weeping whose stepmother fed her crumbs and kisses, the one they said would never smell the scent of greatness. Her stepmother, Mama Femi, stood frozen, her leaves quivering like a drum skin in storm. The same leaves that once called Samira a curse born of disgrace. Her stepsisters, glittering among the maidens, could not lift their eyes. Jealousy and shock tangled in their throats, choking every word before it could form. One dropped her beaded crown, another clutched her wrapper as if to hide her shame. But her old father, Papa Sunday, smiled, a slow, trembling smile that carried both guilt and pride. Tears welled in his weary eyes as he whispered, "The stone the builders rejected." And before he could finish, the royal priest answered softly, "Has become the cornerstone of the throne." The villagers could only stare, their mouths open like guards in disbelief. Their laughter turned to silence, their mockery to mourning, for the girl they called unholy now wore the crown of the kingdom. The same lips that cursed her now praised her. The same hands that threw stones now clapped in awe. And as Samira, once a destitute, now the destined, rose from her stool, the wind cried a proverb across the royal compound. When the gods decide to lift a person, even the sky must make room. The drums thundered again, not in rhythm, but in reverence, and somewhere in the heavens, the spirits of the ancestors smiled, for shame had birthed royalty, and the ashes of rejection had given rise to a queen. Soon, night fell, and it was time for Samira's parents to officially receive her bride price as tradition demands before she graces the bed of the new king. But Mama Femi, who burned in wrath, had a deadly plan. Samira must not survive this, she hissed. No, she definitely will not survive this one. I have planned for her. Meanwhile, Samira and Sisi, still shocked from the events of the day, were getting ready for the traditional marriage rites. But Samira, who was still not convinced she is the chosen one, requested something from Sisi. "Sissy, my friend and sister," she said, "I know this is a happy day, yet a difficult and shocking one for both of us and the entire village. I do not know what games and tricks our new king just played, but I still hold to the fact that you deserve to be queen and not me. Besides, when it's time to swallow the full egg as tradition demands during the marriage ceremony, the gods may strike me dead because I am unholy. And I do not want to die, Sissy. I believe you don't want me dead either. Please, my best friend and sister, take my veil. Represent me. Eat the egg of Hannah and of holy marital vows. Grace the king's bed tonight, and I'll be forever grateful to you." Sissy quivered and she wanted to speak, but Samira stopped her from speaking further. "Get ready now. This will be between the both of us only." An hour later, the royal family, the bride's family, and the elders were gathered, awaiting their beautiful pregnant bride as usual. The bride's mother, Mama Femi, was the one who boiled the eggs for the marriage ritual as tradition demands. And only Mama Femi knew what she had plotted. As planned, Sissy walked in pregnant and with a veil covering her face. Everyone thought it was Samira, The marriage ceremony ultimately was successful, and when Sisi successfully swallowed the egg without any complication, everyone cheered. They had no idea the tragedy that awaits. Has agreed. Sisi was in the king's bedroom and on the king's bed, waiting for his highness to deflower her, a price she chose to pay for a dear friend. But immediately the king's hands touched her in the dark, she screamed, "Help me, my tummy hurts." The king turned on the lights immediately and realized this was not his bride. Dumbfounded, he and his guards rushed Sisi to the village herbalist, but Sisi died before they arrived. The news broke throughout the village like wildfire. "How is this possible?" they cried. "How come Sisi was on top the king's bed? Why did she die?" Some thought Samira had sacrificed Sisi for her selfish gains. "She is a witch. We have always known Samira is a cursed witch." And as the entire village could not sleep because so much has happened in just a day, Samira stood before the royal throne in tears. "You will be imprisoned, Samira, you woman of evil luck. How could you do this to me, a man of royal honor? Who decided to wipe your tears?" "You are wicked, Samira. You could have just told me you weren't interested. Why plot for me to grace my bed with an abomination? You will be jailed until you tell the entire village why you sacrificed your friend." Mama Femi and her daughters felt accomplished but not fully convinced because they had planned for Samira to die and not Sisi. That night, as the entire village stayed awake in shock, Samira cried her eyes out. Why was her stepmother and sisters so cruel? Then suddenly she screamed, "Sisi! By the gods, do whatever you can so that I am vindicated. I know you are a spirit now and you can hear me. Do not let those who killed you walk free. Reveal yourself, my honest friend. Speak your truth that we all will be vindicated. Let the world know who Mama Femi and her daughters truly are, and let the people of the land see the light." At that time, Sisi, who was just a wounded spirit, heard Samira's voice when she was about to cross the river of death to the other side. Strangely, a talking antelope was by the canoe, ready to convey her from that side of the river to the other side. "Wait, I hear voices," Sissy said harshly. "Someone who loves me wills. Someone at the center of my heart needs my help. I must return, if not in my human form, at least in my ghostly form. I must help a sister. But it's your time, and I was sent by the master to get you. Let the master wait. Come with me, please. You must help me, and in return, I shall reward you handsomely. Tell the master it was my fault, but until I accomplish my mission, I cannot go with you." Sissy's spirit tried walking away when the antelope called. "Wait, I will follow you. It's always been my dream to find out what happens in the human world. I think it will be fun to explore with you. But note this, we have only 2 days' time to complete this mission until your time is up." "Thank you. Thank you, wise antelope," Sissy responded with a faint smile. Meanwhile, in the land of the living, it was a bright and sorrowful evening, and Papa Sunday pleaded with the king, "Have mercy on Samira." But the new king refused to listen to his plea. The talking antelope hid behind the secret room where they spoke. The guards had no idea the antelope that stood behind the secret room could hear and talk. Suddenly, Sisi's spirit noticed Mama Femi talking to the village palm wine tapper, Papa Shegun. We agreed I will have her hand in marriage. Papa Shegun spoke fiercely. Now, how come she is betrothed to our new king? For crying out loud, the child in her womb is mine, and I cannot allow the king have what is mine. Then Mama Femi answered in rage, "Can't you see I have everything under control? Give me 2 more days and she will be all yours." Sisi's spirit whispered to the antelope, "How more wicked can a human be? Why would a person living with blood in their veins be this heartless? My dearest spirit antelope, it is time to summon my people. Everyone must know who Mama Femi is behind closed doors. Enough is enough, and the wicked must pay for every evil they plotted and every scheme they made against the innocent." "You speak in parables," the antelope answered. "Tell me, how can I be of help?" Then Sisi narrated everything, and when the antelope understood, he replied, "Indeed, the master said, fear the living than the dead. I am ready to help you. I will announce to the entire village who Mama Femi and her beautiful daughters truly are." The following afternoon, Mama Femi's daughters returned from the farm with their best friend. They teased and laughed about Samira's current condition. "She will be beaten to death," one said. "No, I think she would be banished from the village," another said. They laughed and gossiped until they reached their compound. They had no idea a strange talking antelope had assembled the entire village on their compound. "Aru!" the talking antelope exclaimed. "Wickedness lives and dies on Mama Femi's compound. I witnessed it all. Yes, Mama Femi, the woman you think is a devoted Christian, is nothing but an evil snake, and her daughters are the evil eggs she has laid. They plotted for the evil palm wine tapper to disguise as a masked man to this virgin Samira. It didn't end there. They fed her with leftovers and unripe fruit after she's exhausted from the work they compounded on her. That notwithstanding, they plotted to kill her with a poisoned egg meant for her marriage ritual after she was chosen by the prince. How more wicked can you be, Mama Femi and her offsprings? Do you not have blood flowing in your veins? What more do you want from a child who already lost her mother?" The entire village was astonished. If these confessions are coming from a strange talking antelope, then there's a high probability it's true. The strong and confident men of the village decided to take the talking antelope as well as Mama Femi and the entire family to the Ogun Shrine. The king was alerted and the entire village assembled at the Ogun Shrine, a shrine of truth and redemption. As the villagers gathered, their hearts trembled and their eyes darted between Mama Femi, her daughters, and the talking antelope that stood upon the sacred stone. Its eyes glowed like twin flames, and its voice came deep and heavy. "Let the truth stand naked before Ogun, the God who sees the hidden." Mama Femi trembled, her wrapper loosened slightly, and sweat ran down her neck. When the shrine priest handed her the calabash of truth to swear her innocence, the air grew thick. Even the wind held its breath. But instead of swearing, Mama Femi fell to her knees, beating her chest and wailing. "I am guilty. Forgive me," she said. "The poisoned egg that killed Sisi was meant for Samira, my husband's daughter." A cry rose from the villagers. Old women spat on the ground in disgust. Young men clenched their fists. The king covered his face in shame. Mama Femi continued, her voice shaking like a broken bottle. I wanted Samira gone. I could not stand her light. I wanted my daughters to shine alone. But the gods have turned my wickedness into my judgment. The talking antelope turned its fiery gaze to the masked man standing behind the crowd. And you, it thundered, your shadow has danced too long among the innocents. The masked man fell to his knees. I will confess, he cried. I helped Mama Femi destroy Samira. I wanted her for myself, yet I felt unworthy. So I defiled her name, made her carry shame, so no other man would want her except me. A roar of horror swept through the shrine. Some villagers wept, others shouted curses. Mama Femi's daughters began to shake uncontrollably and dropped to their knees. We too are guilty, they cried. We joined our mother to torment Samira. We called her names. We hid her food. We mocked her tears. Silence fell like a curse. Then Samira's father, the man who had once turned away from her, dropped to his knees before his daughter. His voice cracked like a dry gourd. Forgive me, my child, he said. My eyes were open, yet blind. I never knew the serpent was in my own house. Tears rolled down Tamira's cheeks as she touched his shoulders. Then she replied, the gods have spoken, Father. Let truth heal what lies destroyed. The king, ashamed and trembling, stepped forward. Samira, the gods have shown your purity. I have wronged you, your born child, the child whom Ogun has called the king of impossible birth. From this day, your name shall be honored in this land. The villagers shouted in one voice, may the gods bless Samira. May truth reign forever. That night, the ground seemed to shake with judgment. Mama Femi was banished from the village, her head bowed in disgrace. Her daughters were traded as slaves to distant land. The masked man was lashed until his back sang with pain at the village square. And the people said, when evil sits too long in the dark, Ogun will light his lamp. 2 months later, Samira gave birth to a son. Strong, calm, and radiant. The drums of joy echoed through the village. But before the celebration ended, Samira led them all to the old Iroko tree, a place where she and Sissy usually shared memories. There, under the sunlight, they poured libation upon Sissy's spirit. To you who died with the truth in your heart, Samira whispered, your spirit guided us. The talking antelope appeared one last time, standing beside a gentle light that looked like Sissy's spirit. The villagers watched as Sissy smiled, her spirit calm at last. The eyes of the dead sees further than the living. She said softly, I am at peace. Then, like a mist at dawn, she and the antelope crossed the river of death together. And from that day onward, the Ogun Shrine became a place where no light dared to hide again. Moral of the story: truth may sleep for a season, the elders say, but when it wakes, even the blind will see. Comment yes if you think the king's judgment was fair. Like, comment, and share. Thanks for watching. See you in my next story. Bye.